we going, everybody? I'm out here with the citrus trees, the espaliers, and Kara's just turned up on cue. Good girl. Now we're going to talk a little bit about citrus again, especially because it's in season now, and a lot of you are worried about citrus gall wasp, which takes control of your tree and can really decimate it if you don't do anything about it. Now, for those who don't know, do a little bit of research on it. In a nutshell, it's a little wasp that lays its egg on the bark or just below the bark surface, and the larvae penetrate inside the branch, not on the fruit or the leaves, but the branch. And as they grow, they nest in there, and it swells out and creates this gall around the branch, and that starts to restrict the sap flow of the tree through the rest of the branch, causing the tree to stress out a little bit. So it does cause a lot of problems. Leaf drop, sometimes you get more flowers than you ever anticipate because the tree thinks it's dying and it's trying to bring on its offspring, which are the fruit and the seed. In long term, if you don't treat it, left untreated, it can knock the tree out completely. So it is time now to go around to your tree and spray it. And why I'm saying that now is because a lot of you are getting the CGWS, especially South Australia. We know you've all jumped on board because the insect is active. Now in Victoria, it's a little bit cooler here. It hasn't come out quite as yet. I know it has in South Australia and probably New South Wales. But you can't spray the tree whilst it's in full bloom. Now these trees are finishing, well, most of it's finished, and we were looking at a mandarin here, and I've just noticed we've got buds on this side. And this is a tree that I haven't done a lot of work with of recent times. I've done a little bit of pruning on this side, I should say, but not so much on the other, which we'll go and visit in a second. But you can see some flowers are coming on, but if you have a close look here, we've got clusters of fruit setting on here, all over the place. You can see bunches there and here. And sure, it may not hold all of them, but wow, if it does hold at least half of these, look at this. What a nightmare here. Well, not a nightmare, what an excitement, I should say. And that's pretty much what's happening throughout the tree. But you still have new growth coming on, and that's what's happened at the top here. I've taken off a little bit just earlier on before we started this segment here, and I'm going to do more work on the other side to show you what I mean as far as pruning it back. Trees like citrus, they should be pruned on a regular basis. I wouldn't go into it, hard and prune the whole tree at once, knocking off a lot of branches, because you cause the tree to go into a growth mode and you'll start to see more growth than fruiting. But a good time to do it is now that it's finishing its flowers and setting fruit. You are going to get some summer growth coming out of the tree after the fruit is set, as all trees do and all plants do. Once they flower, they grow again. And by pruning it now, you can actually control the direction of the new growth, where it's going. Thinning out the tree is important. And the espaliers, if you're doing it like this, you need to get some good airflow in it, because I'll show you another problem that's occurring. But before we go there, let's take a look at this lime tree. In fact, all the others that we've got across here, because they all are blooming profusely and setting lots of fruit. And this is doing exactly that. There is fruit all over this espalier. And in recent times when we had some workshops out here talking about pruning citrus trees, saying that if you prune it too hard, you don't get any flowers. Now, it's the timing of the pruning and the amount of pruning you do as well. Now, I pruned this tree way before it was time for it to flower, but I didn't go hard on it. I didn't prune the whole thing in one go. I did little samples, and we did workshops over the course of a month or 2 months. And over that 2-month period, I did thin out the bulk of the areas here. And you can see now, the lower parts, we've got some growth coming on, but we've got lots of flowers inside there. Now, most of the tree will flower on older branches, and I'm talking about 6 to 9 months, years, or 9 months of age, not years. And if the branch isn't that of age, it's not going to flower that straight away. You may get 1 or 2 on the new growth, but predominantly on older branches. So if you go and prune the tree really hard, it's going to need to grow again, age a little bit before it flowers. And what we've got here, see the new growth? There's no flowers there. This is an old branch. It's an older branch. Even though it's a little dainty one, it's still a lot more rigid than this little sapling here. So you don't expect any fruit off that, but you'll get it off these. So what does that mean? When you prune back your plant, don't prune it back down to the hardwood. For example, it didn't flower here, but let me show you it. Now, this was the older branch, and I did cut it short to get growth out of it, but it could have flowered if it was in the right state. If we go a little bit further up here, this is an older branch. Have a look at this. See the age of that there? There's flowers there. They're falling off now. because there are way too many, and so are these. These are not new growth. These are at least 6 months old, if not 9 months, and that's where it's fruiting from. And again, here's another one. It's been pruned back here, it's flowered back in there, and that's the new growth coming on there. So it's not going to come from the new growth, not instantly, but after a few months, at least half year to a year in growing time. So think about that when it comes to pruning it. And if I was to cut, for example, coming back down to this one, it hasn't got any flowers, but if I was to cut it right back to here, there'd be nothing but growth coming out. And that's what's happening there at the moment. But if I cut it right back there, it would have burst somewhere around here somewhere and new growth coming on. But if you cut it short, like a little stub, and we've done it here, we've cut it off there, and we were lucky enough to actually cause it to flower all over. It's not 100% perfect, but it's the way you should be considering when coming to pruning your citrus trees. So don't cut it all off, only if you need to, because it's in the wrong place, the branch is damaged or diseased or something like that. So what's made my trees flower so profusely, folks? Well, I'm sure many of you are being very successful with your citrus trees as well, and I hope you all got blooms like this, especially this time of the year. This is what they're meant to be doing. We're looking at an orange tree here. Well, for me, it's using our fertilizers, our superfood and black grit, that's it. The black grit will actually help the tree produce better flowers and more of them, and obviously keep the flowers on the plant. And God help me if it actually sets all this fruit and continues to grow. There's a dozen in this cluster. It's way too much. It's out of control, which is great, and hopefully it won't keep all of them, because I don't want to see baby little oranges like this all over the place, but I'd rather see, you know, 3 or 4 in a cluster growing together. Now it will drop, it will shed some of its fruit, so it can hold the better ones or the stronger ones on there. But for you to get it to flower like this, if it's not doing that already, get some black grit onto it. The calcium silicate will make a world of difference, as it has with my trees here. So let's go back there and prune that mandarin tree. Now, folks, it's going to bucket down again. We've had some really bad weather going through here. We were 23, 24 degrees yesterday. We've dropped down to 8 degrees, feels like 3 all day. They said it was going to be 13 or 14. Well, we didn't even reach that. And tomorrow's going to be worse. So here comes a big black cloud, an ugly one. So let's get this done before it starts to rain on us. And what we've got here is, well, this side I haven't pruned, and I didn't prune this by comparison to the other side, nowhere near as much. And you can see it there. There's a little bit of growth on that side, which most of it's been taken out. But on this side here, because I didn't prune, it's continued to grow outwards. These are espalier trees, and I'm going to grow them like that. And obviously I'm going to keep pruning them to get them to the right shape. And to get it like that, you need to thin out all the outward growth. All of it, yes. How much of it? In the length, I mean, it depends on where it's growing from. For example, let's start with this one here. Nice fresh growth on the top, no fruit or anything on there or flowers. So that's telling me this one's going to continue growing, and by the time I get any fruit, it'll grow about here somewhere the next season. And by then, this branch will be out here somewhere, way too long. So we're going to bring this right back down and find out exactly where it's coming from. And if we look carefully down in here, it's been pruned once over here, see there? That's where it was pruned, I don't know, 9 months ago, a year ago. I just pruned earlier a branch here. See how short I cut it? I didn't cut it all the way back down because I do want to keep it, and hopefully I can get it to flower. So cutting it right back down, I'm cutting to about here. Not all the way down, I'm leaving this little bit of growth there, so hopefully we can get it to flower again for ourselves along there. And we're going to do the same thing, and some of them we might actually remove, just like this one here. I don't need this, it's way too long, growing outwards. And yeah, we got scale, the beginning of scale, folks. There's one there. If we don't finish this segment, it's only because the bloody rain's going to come on us, folks, and I just felt a big drop fall on me. All right, let's smash this out. This is the hard part, is working out which one you want to cut off because it's so tight. So start with the easy areas where you can see quite obviously, and if you're not sure how much to cut off, only cut half of it off so you can open it up. And I'm noticing now already that I've actually got fruit inside here. There's flowers and fruit setting, and it's been overshadowed by all this new growth on it, which is okay if it gets too hot for the plant. And I should also mention, back to the citrus gall wasp while I'm pruning here, for those who suffer with citrus gall wasp, the trees that is, get your CGWS, get it onto there. Now that they're finishing flowering and setting fruit, you can actually spray the tree to protect it. It doesn't go on the fruit itself so much. Even a little bit of overspray is not going to hurt it, but it's important to actually cover the entire branch. It's the branches that you need to protect. They're the ones that get infected or attacked by the citrus gall wasp. And the second benefit to the CGWS, folks, is not only because it controls citrus gall wasp, for those areas in Australia where it's really hot during the summer times, citrus trees do not grow, and they actually stop growing when it gets over 35, 38 degrees, something like that. And by spraying the citrus gall wasp, you're actually shielding the plant, creating a coat of armor over it and a reflection off from the heat, therefore allowing the tree to be able to continue growing and becoming vibrant and strong and healthy throughout the whole season, no matter how hot it gets. So spray your plants, not on the flowers. If they're in flower, just wait for the flowers to finish. And if I was to prune in my speed time, this is pretty much it. This is how we go. Now you may think that I'm about to do a hard prune, but I'm almost done here, folks. I've just opened it up a little bit. Clusters of flowers, I'm leaving that alone. This is a bit of a nuisance, but I haven't done a real hard prune. It's only a small handful of branches. Don't mind the weeds. Have a look. This is it. Not a lot that's come off the tree. And in fact, this time of the year, whilst it's got lots of flowers and fruit on it, it's probably safer to do a harder prune than usual because it's already set fruit. You're not pruning it so hard before the flowering season. So if you need to do a hard prune, and folks, I've done a hard prune many a times, and you've seen my mum's house where I've gone hard on her tree because it was literally out of control. We brought it right down and it's jumped right back up again. And that's the instant reaction for a citrus tree to do that if you go a hard prune, especially when there's no flowers yet or out of flowering season. And then it's flowered, but it's flowered so far up on the tree that it's unreachable. So I've got to go back there and prune it down again and then work it slowly back into shape. That's already been pruned nicely. That's already nice and flat there. You don't want it super flat on the plant if you're trying to espalier it. You need a little bit of density. And we're really only talking about from the mesh, it's only sticking out this far. It's not a lot. There's a branch here I want to take back, and again, I haven't taken really any back right hard to the main branch where it's growing from, but rather just cutting it short. And here I need to thin it out, but I'm not going to as yet because look what's going on in here. Look at all those beautiful fruit that are setting there. This is the first year it's flowering and fruiting for me beautifully, because previously we had the leaf curl going on, and that's not from leaf minor. That was just the habit of it from the climatic changes we were having. The older leaves were curling, but now that it's acclimatized, you can see the new growth, even the young growth. There's no twist or turning on that. Nice and clean and healthy. 1 or 2 spots of scale. Look out for that. CGWS to control citrus gall wasp. And if you're not getting any flowers on your citrus trees, get yourself some superfood and black grit, and I guarantee you they're going to flower like these ones. In fact, all my citrus trees are bursting with fruits at the moment because of those 2 little fertilizers. Simple to apply, and it goes on every part of your garden as well. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi. And the little ones come. Go, go, go and play. Sit. Good girl. Oh. Are you a good girl? Hey, are you a good girl?